Right. Hello and welcome, FPL managers, and welcome to Zonal Weakness brought to you by Corner Football Fantasy, powered by Fantasy Football Scout. And of course, today it's Bethany all the way from the UK joining me. How are you, Bethany?
I'm all right, thank you. Yeah, I'm looking forward to another week of FPL. Always living in hope that it'll go better than the last week. But yeah, I'm good, thank you. Yeah. How about you?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. You kind of hit the nail on the head already because you said hope. And I think it's the hope that kills me every week. At least last week it did. Last week it did. So I'm not sure. Yeah. Beside that, I think I'm doing fine. Yeah. And it's been a while since I saw you, to be honest, because
Yeah,
we
it
had
was
the
like
international break in between. Yeah.
one break. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So how was your game week?
Oh, it was terrible. Not gonna lie. I went from 350,000, which I was really quite pleased with, and dropped down to 550,000. The only players that returned were Haaland captain and Smith Rowe, and I had more returns on my bench than I did actually in my team. So I had Visser on my bench who scored again against Man City and then has gone off injured. So not only did I not get his points, he's now a problem for me. I've now got to try and do something with him because he's out injured for a long time. And I also had Saliba on my bench as well. So, and Arsenal obviously managed to keep the clean sheet again. Yeah, not the greatest of weeks at all. I think you had a similar week, did you?
Well, I don't know. I thought I had a bit of an edge with Bruno Fernandes and ESR, but apparently it was Saka and the Arsenal defense that kind of killed all the hopes. So yeah, it's the hope that kills. So it's okay. Yeah, I'm not also not. I also didn't do a great. I mean, I had a terrible week to be honest. So I think I'm somewhere in the 600,000 K now right now. So I mean, there's still time, but I'm hopeful. I just hope that the hope doesn't kill me next week. So yeah. Anyway, let's see what the zonal says. I think the zonal did very well last week in terms of the performance, and I think over the last 3 weeks it's been kind of somewhere about above 60% accuracy. So that's a success rate, if I have to call it, not accuracy, but yeah, I think Mateta and others kind of did well with Mans, and yeah, so that was good. So let's see what this week brings. And of course, before we start, this is the zonal weakness for Game Week 5. And before we start, please do give us a follow and like or subscribe on YouTube, Facebook, and of course on Twitter, because we're producing regular content. And if you haven't really followed us, you're missing out on a lot of information, including the zonal weakness. So please do give us a follow. And all the stats that you see from on our page or on our channels are taken from the Fantasy Football Scout members area. There's a 40% discount ongoing. So if you're interested in all the zonal data and other data that you think would be useful, then please click on the link in the description below and you'd get a 40% discount. And I think it's worth the investment that you make. Right. Okay. So let's move on to the next one. And here's the tables. Bethany, take us through, please. What do you think?
Okay, so starting off with Liverpool, obviously the zonal's looking really good for them this week. We've got Diaz, Robbo, Salah, Trent, all standing out there. I know a lot of people have got Jota, and obviously he's not looking as good as the others on here. I think the other thing to note is obviously now we've got midweek fixtures starting, is we're not entirely sure which Liverpool team's going to start. I think Salah and Trent are safe options if you can afford Salah, Trent, and Haaland. But yeah, I think if you've got them, stick with them and play with them with this week. But note that we might need to shuffle them out in the coming weeks if they're not getting the minutes or the starts. Then we've got Aston Villa. Watkins looks like he's back. And is looking really good this week. He's ranked second for chances conceded down the centre against Wolves. Wolves have been very leaky this season. So I really like Watkins. Rodgers is obviously in there too. So for those of us that are stuck with him and have been very disappointed for the last few weeks, maybe this might be the week that we're rewarded. But yeah, I'm thinking about bringing Watkins in as my Visser replacement this week if I can squeeze the budget in to allow me to. I really like Watkins. If you've got him, definitely keep him. But I think, a lot of people might be making that move, maybe from Isaac as well. People are disappointed with him, not sure if he's injured, that kind of thing. So I recommend Watkins this week. We've got Chelsea, a few standing out here. Obviously, we've got Palm, we've got Jackson, that kind of thing. Chelsea's been generally disappointing though, so I think if you've already got them, I've got Palmer. I swapped from Saka to Palmer a couple of weeks ago on my wild card, so I'm going to play him and stick with him. But I probably wouldn't be targeting them this week because I just think Chelsea are very unpredictable at the moment. We don't know what we're going to get. Then you've got Spurs coming up next. Son, Maddison, Johnson, Porro, all standing out here from zonal weaknesses. I really like Porro. I think I wish I'd never sold him. I think he could just be a season keeper, really, for those who've still got him. He can occasionally get the clean sheets, but actually his attacking threat is really strong. So I think Porro might do well this week against Brentford. They've been quite leaky as well. Son, so expensive. I think those people who've still got him, maybe you hold him for one more week because the data looks good for him this week, but I wouldn't be bringing him in. He's just not quite looking like the Son we've seen in previous seasons. It's really nice to see Smith standing out there. Chances conceded down the centre first against Newcastle. You don't necessarily think of Newcastle being a nice fixture. And so I definitely wouldn't be benching him this week. Definitely play Smith Rowe again. If you've got him. And then the next two are really interesting because they're teams that we just wouldn't have really considered before. But first, we've got Everton up against Leicester. And for the second week in a row, somehow Everton have managed to go from a 2-0 lead up to losing 3-2. But the positive there is obviously they're managing to score 2 goals. So I think things like Calvert-Lewin, McNeil, I really like them. They're really cheap. And for those of us or those people that are wanting to move towards Haaland and Salah teams and still keep Trent, the budget's got to go somewhere. So either of them could be nice options as your 5th midfielder or your third attacker. So I really like those two as options. And then similarly, Vardy's been doing really well. Like, it's insane. He's like, what, 37, 38 or something? And the Vardy party's still on. So I'm not against him. Again, Everton have been letting in so many goals. He's a cheap option again for that third striker if you want. I don't mind a Vardy pick this week.
Well, to an extent, I feel like, we are back in 2017 where, Vardy kept on scoring at the very beginning and we kept on ignoring him, and only to realize after 4-5 game weeks that, no, this guy is going to continue to score along with Riyad Mahrez. And only then all of us, by then his price had already increased. So I think we are slowly reaching that point, to be honest. Anyway, let's move to the next slide.
So not as many on here. Brighton have obviously done well attacking wise generally at the start of the season, but none of the assets are really standing out here. Just worth noting that Matoma, although he's not in white, is actually ranked 6th, so he's very close to being noticed there. But yeah, Forest have been really good defensive wise. We saw that against Liverpool last week. So I wouldn't expect much from Brighton this week. So I think if you've got them, that's fine, but I wouldn't be targeting Brighton players this week. Ipswich again, all the bottom teams are playing each other this week. So it'll be interesting to see what happens at the end of that. But again, Southampton have looked particularly poor, even worse than the other two. So I think somebody like Delap could get a return this week if you're looking for that third striker money saved elsewhere. Could be an option. Haaland still an okay option from chances conceded for headers, but not looking great otherwise. Chances conceded. Obviously, Arsenal are a great defence, arguably the best in the league. So I'm not expecting loads from Haaland this week. I think it'll be interesting. I'm probably personally not going to captain him. So obviously he's ranked 14th here for chances conceded on the centre. I think some people still will, and we know it's Haaland. He can get anything. He's in such great form. He could always get something even against Arsenal. But I think both teams will not want to lose this game. So I think it might be a bit cagey and could quite easily end 0-0 or a last minute 1-0 somewhere, but which way I don't know. Again,
Bernardo Silva.
Yeah. Bernardo Silva.
Or Gundogan, perhaps, or maybe Rodri. Such games bring Rodri. I mean, obviously, yeah, I get your point. True.
Yeah, the thing is, you just don't know, and that's the thing. I think this is not a game that's going to end up with 3 or 4 goals, which most Man City games do. So I just don't think this is the week to be targeting, especially those players that we just don't know with what Pep's going to like. Haaland is the safest person on that team. The rest of them, anything could happen. So yeah, for once, it's actually quite nice not to have. Not to think that Arsenal are going to hurt me this week. So yes, obviously Man City. A good defence there as well. And so, yeah, if you've got Arsenal players, I'd be tempted to bench them. Or if you're planning on using a wild card, maybe even swapping somebody like Saka out for a week to target other fixtures. They can always get anything in a game like City. And they could win the 1-0 instead. It could go their way, but it's not going to be a game of loads of goals, I don't think. Mateta selling out for headers conceded there against Man United. I like Mateta. He's done well. Yeah, I think, again, he could be another option if you're looking to move somebody like Visser or Isaac on this week, if you haven't already got Eze. I like Mateta. United look like one to avoid, as to Newcastle. Nobody's standing out there. I think, yeah, time probably to move off Newcastle assets if people still have them. They're just not looking quite right. And then I know a lot of people have gone Mbeumo and got some points out of him, obviously, a couple of weeks ago. Again, probably not the week to bring him in. Left flank chances conceded by Spurs. They're ranked 16th. Actually, Spurs are looking all right defensively this season. They're not. They're looking a lot better than they have previously. So I think from next week, we might all want Mbeumo's. But for this week, I'd probably leave it. Just to note, so Visser's obviously there down the middle for headers conceded. It looks like he's going to be out until like end of October, November time, something like that. So yeah. I think maybe it might be that Scheider ends up in that position. So he's really cheap, so worth watching. See if he could be an option.
Interesting shout with regards to Visser and Scheider. I mean, sorry. Yeah, but I agree with you. I mean, he's completely out. And thanks for touching on the captaincy comparison this week. When it comes to Haaland and Salah, I think we know how, the zonal is favoring whom. So that's very clear. But anyway, let's move to the team of the week. And I think then we are more or less towards the end. Yeah. So over to you.
There you go. You've got no Haaland even in the team of the week, which is crazy when he's just scored 8 goals in the first three matches. Yeah, this is looking nice.
I think we'll get crucified for this.
What did you say? Sorry.
I think we'll get crucified for not having Haaland in our team of the week.
Yeah.
If he ends up actually scoring 2 goals, yeah.
But you've got to go with the zonal.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So
that's the thing.
He could get something. I just don't think he's a captain this week, potentially. And yeah, obviously, if you've got Salah, go Salah for captain. I think the struggle is going to be for people like me who don't have Salah and don't want to captain Haaland. And I don't really know where I'm going. I'm likely not to go Haaland, but I don't know. If I bring in Watkins, it could be going to Watkins, but it's his minutes. If I could go Palmer, but he could get me 4 returns or he could get me nothing. Yeah, it's tricky. Yes, so again, I think I've covered quite a lot of this, but I really like Watkins up front. I think he's a great option. Same Smith Rowe, so cheap. I really like McNeil. I think he has won the battle of those cheap midfield. Like we've obviously, a lot of us went Rodgers. If you'd gone McNeil at the same time for a similar price, you'd have been a lot happier than we are now. So I do really like McNeil if you are wildcarding this week instead. I think McNeil would make my 5th midfield spot instead. And then you've got some great defenders in there who all 3 of these could offer clean sheets, but they could also offer attacking returns. So yeah, I really like all of them as options. I think it's an interesting looking team, and I think this week might be again another interesting week like last week, where I think things are going to be more varied this week because of captaincy, because people are going to go different with captains. So we'll see where that ends up.
No, I agree, and I thank you so much for that. I totally agree. I think this week is going to be pretty interesting, and I think people are already in the dilemmas as to how to bring in Salah or not to bring in Salah, or to continue with Haaland. So yeah, I mean, let's see. I mean, but thank you so much for touching upon all those topics, and of course, including the captaincy on that. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, audience, for joining us and for watching. Please do keep supporting. And of course, don't forget to subscribe because we're doing this on a regular basis and we would appreciate all the support that's coming for you. We'll be back again next week with Bethany again for the Game Week 6. But until then, all the very best for the Game Week. Take care. Bye-bye.